1 year has passed since the Black Rebellion, a failed uprising against the Holy Britannian Empire led by the masked vigilante Zero, who is now missing. At a loss without their revolutionary leader. Area 11's resistance group the Black Knights find themselves too powerless to combat the brutality inflicted upon the 11s by Britannia, which has increased significantly in order to crush any hope of a future revolt. Lelouch Lambrouche, having lost all memory of his double life, is living peacefully alongside his friends as a high school student at Ashford Academy. His former partner CCU, able to accept this turn of events, takes it upon herself to remind him of his past purpose, hoping that the mastermind Zero will rise once again to finish what he started, in this thrilling CONC Lucy. End to the series. Code Geass Hangyaku no Lelouch R2 is both more of the same and yet a departure for the series in several ways. On one hand, it's often even more ridiculous and over-the-top than its predecessor, and on the other surprisingly dramatic, with an emotional resonance not found in the first season. This results in the show feeling more like a reboot/reimagining of the series rather than a simple continuation of the storyline. Now to be sure, many of the classic Geass moments of the first season are present, however, this time around things feel very different in ways that are superior to the original, even if R2 itself can't quite top the overall impact of its predecessor. Some will feel that R2 wasn't as good as the first season, but it does live up to the Code Geass franchise. Story: Code Geass R2 continues the story of Lelouch Lambrouche and the Black Knights as they continue their fight against the Holy Britannian Empire. We are introduced to more characters including NW allies, enemies, and nightmare frames. As the series progresses, new factions are introduced and new alliances formed, with plot twists abound. The plot twists in R2 are even more abundant, and ecchi mess even more implausible and unexpected than the first season, with every episode essentially ending in a cliffhanger. However, the characters this time around are far more likable, even if they are so numerous that many of them, unfortunately, end up being underdeveloped. And while the show starts off slow, the plot eventually moves forward very fast, and while stumbles somewhat near the climax, manages to pull off a remarkably well-crafted resolution at the end. Fans who were disappointed by the way the first season ended will undoubtedly be satisfied with the bizarre ending of R2. Act. Here's a series that has real emotional depth and dramatic resonance. Now to be clear, by no means is this a primary focus of R2, however, the actions and motivations of the characters in the TS themselves seem to have greater meaning and purpose. The range of emotions felt by the characters is better conveyed. We feel their desperation and determination, their sadness and joy, their rage and regret. Characters that seemed so empty or cliched in the first season are given greater depth and expression, with exceptions of course. Lelouch, in particular, is a far more interesting character this time around, and his inner conflict and desire for self-resolution. He'll do things that you wouldn't expect him to do. Also, his changing relationships with his comrades and enemies alike as a drive that propels the show from a mere continuation into a rejuvenation of the series. Lelouch fans will definitely find him more interesting and amazing, as well as the other characters. Colin. Art and animation, Sunrise and Clamp have definitely outdone itself. The visuals of R2 are not just better than the original, but are also one of the best I've seen, though somewhat expected considering them using an extraordinary amount of budget. R2 is definitely more flashier and colorful than ever before. The high quality of the visuals consistently impresses from one episode to the next. The characters and backgrounds are incredibly detailed and the large-scale action sequences are spectacular to watch. The only gripe I have is that the animation itself often lacks fluidity, especially during some of the more hectic action sequences. This didn't really take much away from the actual quality of the visuals, but it is rather noticeable nevertheless. Actually, with the action and everything going on, you won't even notice the lack of fluidity. And while Sunrise doesn't quite stand at the absolute top-tier level in terms of overall animation quality, R2 represents our best work since their old age of shows like Cowboy Bebop. In terms of the animation, Code Geass R2 sure have one of the best this year.